Guys, it's me. I'm back.
What's up, party people?
We're like, Mads, come on. All right, this show is taking a turn for the.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Monster Bass Live. I'm doing my best today to be your host. I've got a little bout of food poisoning that has been with me all last night. So today's show is sponsored by CVS Health and Adult Electrolytes, as I seem to be pounding these bottles nonstop. So, with that being said, though, I'm excited to be here today. But we do have a great show for you. Chris is back. Raphie's here. Fix is here. Abe's on the couch. My dog's wandering around. It's been a really interesting last few days. Went to Vegas this weekend. Got to see the Dead at the Sphere. And, I don't know whether you like the Dead or not. I got to tell you, the Sphere is really a special, special place. The graphics are insane. I mean, mind-blowing is the only word I can use. So, if you ever get a chance to go there and see a band, go see them. It's definitely an experience, and it's one that you definitely don't want to miss. We're kicking off the show as we always do because the Monster Bass community exists for one thing, and that's to help you become a better angler and hopefully crush your personal best. And each and every week, we like to celebrate the people that take the time to share some of the pics of the fish that they're really proud of. And if you've got a catch that you're really proud of, you can head over to monsterbass.com/pb, upload your pic, and if we use it, Raphie will clean up my garage and send something to you. And so let's not wait any further. Let's get some pics up on the screen. The first pic we've got today is from David Alexander. He's got 6 pounds 7 ounces out of North Carolina on a spinnerbait. Pretty nice. It's a pretty nice looking catch. Next up is Keaton Johnson. 2 pounds 8 ounces on a KVD square bill. I love that. I love that little dude's catch. Michael Hunsaker, 5 pounds 3 ounces in New York on a jig. Good looking fish. Jonathan Burnt, 4 pounds 3 ounces out of Wisconsin. I actually would like to be in Wisconsin right now. That looks pretty. And then last but not least, Rick Jones, 8 pounds 2 ounces on a swim jig. Landed that bad boy in North Carolina. So congratulations to you guys and to everyone that caught some good sized fish this weekend. Or if you just got a chance to go out there and wet a line, congratulations, because not every one of us gets to do that on a regular basis. So, if you want a shot at seeing your picks used up on the show, monsterbass.com/pb, upload your pick. Doesn't have to be your personal best. Just needs to be something that you're proud of or that you caught this weekend that you want to share with everyone. I'd like to start out by thanking Bethany. Bethany's man in the chat today, so if you've got something not nice to say, don't say it to her. In fact, you can just head over to somebody else's live stream. We only have nice things to say in the chat. So, Bethany, thanks for jumping in. I know Raphie's going to be here for a little bit. And so why don't we get that started? Why don't we, because I know Raphie's on a bit of a time crunch today, why don't we go to Raphie and get a Grande Bass update? Raphie, how we doing?
We're doing great. How are we doing, Rick?
Truth be told, I'm not doing so great.
Yeah, it's a good thing Fix picked up those super duper microphones that could block out all the gurgling and the weird noises that you're making across the room.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you could have seen me yesterday, oh,
yeah, Yeah, man, I'm sorry. First of all, I just wanted to shout out James, who's back in the chat. Rick did not get rid of me, although you won't be seeing me for most of the chat. Bethany is going to be manning the chat, and she is going to be pinning the top comments to the chat, and she will be responsible for picking whoever wins the chat at the end of the show. I also wanted to say a big happy birthday to Heather Cummins, who popped in for a second, but she's out at her birthday dinner now. So when she listens to this, hopefully later on, she'll know that we're wishing her our best. Very excited to talk Grande Bass. Wrote a couple notes because a lot of things are happening. So for the first time in Grande Bass history, since we have been at the helm, and probably for the first time in over a year, everything is in inventory. Every single thing that is on the website is available for sale. We are flush with inventory, and if you don't want to overpay on our website, go out and ask your favorite bait and tackle store if they carry Grande Bass, and put in a good word for us. We'll sell it to them and make sure that they sell it to you cheaper than we would. Couple announcements coming soon. We are going to be coming soon to the Colony Shields. I'm not sure if I could say that, so nobody quote me on that. And we are open for business in West Virginia. Big thanks to Big Ed's Tackle Box. Also wanted to say to Lone Wolf, who won the chat last week, I have not forgotten about you. I'm going to send something out this week. I had a little side mission last week that pulled me out of the office for a couple of days, but I know I owe you your prize, so good work there. And so many people have been emailing me about the Grande Bass Secret VIP Club, which is no longer a secret. For all those who have received their baits and who have been posting to Instagram, giving to friends, tagging, and doing all the things, I really appreciate it. It's awesome to start to see a lot more activity on Instagram, and your feedback is awesome. I love how much you guys love the baits. Now, to everyone else who has been emailing me, trying to get into the secret VIP club, I have put some clues in our Instagram profile, in the Grande Bass Instagram profile. And if you could figure out through those clues how to, get to the magic phrase that will get you into the VIP club, then good on you, because it might not be easy. And
so it's like there's an Easter egg.
Yeah, it's a little Easter egg hunt.
All right, I like that.
Yeah.
Can I,
Yeah.
if I get it, can I be on the VIP club?
Yes, you sure can. And is it 100 degrees in here because you're not feeling well? I'm definitely starting to sweat.
I just turned on the air conditioner.
Oh, okay. Whew. Because it's only a matter of time before the chat starts to light up with the shine on my forehead.
I mean, what's wrong with that?
I don't know. I'm fine with it. Ask James.
Okay. So what? So Grande Bass is all in.
Grande Bass is all in.
Are we gonna give any kind of a referral fee or something if people introduce us to your favorite shop?
Yes, and I do want to clarify. Thank you for teeing that up, Rick. So it's a good time to take the camera off, Rick Fixie.
Good.
And he's back. So a lot of you have emailed me. It's Raphie, R-A-P-H-I-E, at outdoorplayground.com, and shared with me stores that you know of in your area, or stores that you like, bait and tackle stores that you like in your area. And I really appreciate that. But what I would like to do is give you a $100 finder's fee for an introduction. So feel free to go to those stores, figure out who the manager is, who the buyer is, a friendly face, and then, send me their information. I'll give them a call. I'll give them an email. I'll drop your name. You could drop my name. And if they pick up Grande Bass in their store, I will give you a $100 finder's fee. But it has to be with an intro or some kind of referral. It can't just be, hey, here's a store that I like, because I appreciate that. I also have Google.
So just for point of clarification for me. So all I got to do is give you the name of a shop, and I get the name and a contact, and I get $100, or do they actually have to like pick up the line?
No, you have to give me a name. You have to give me a contact. They have to expect that I am calling. And if they do pick up the line, as in carry Grande Bass, then it triggers a $100 finder's fee.
All right. That should be pretty easy. I'm going down to Big Five tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, just given the feedback that we've gotten from people on the VIP team, from just some other people that I've seeded product to, and from customers who are excited that we're finally flush with product and they could fish with Grande Bass again. I mean, the feedback has just been overwhelmingly positive. It's really, really exciting to hear.
Okay. So so a little bit of a change of topic, but if I'm on the VIP club and you sent me my stuff and I did my stuff, does that mean I stay on the VIP club?
Yes. Yeah. So if you received your product, if you then posted it and tagged Grande Bass in, on Instagram, if you gave it to a friend and they tagged Grande Bass and you on Instagram, then you will be part of the VIP club in June. If you are unable to do that, and somebody actually has emailed me saying there's going to be a reason why I'm unable to do this. One person said, I can't make that deadline by June 1 because the United States Postal Service somehow rerouted my package to California instead of I think Tennessee, where they're based. So there are going to be exceptions, but the bottom line is that we have so many people that want to be part of this VIP club that you're going to get dropped if you're unable to keep up with what I think is very small and easy requirements of sharing one of the bags that you get with a friend, and then you and that friend posting about it on Instagram and tagging Grande Bass.
Okay. Good stuff.
Yeah. I don't like Sick Rick.
No, I don't like Sick Rick either.
I got to tell you. I like Healthy Rick way better.
Yeah.
A lot more fun.
Yeah. I'd like to, is there any chance that I could look at your VIP list and just like give a thumbs up to, like, have you sent out packages to everybody?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have.
All right. I might like to take a look at the list just out of curiosity.
Of course.
I got to tell you, YouTube's such an amazing platform. It gives everybody a voice. And I got to tell you, the number of emails that I've gotten in the last 2 days from people, just talking about like people that are just people talk, either they've got really nice things to say or really negative things to say. I just can't. It's so weird. Like, I can't live in a world with all the negativity. It's such an interesting time in our country. But whatever. I don't even know why I'm bothering to say all that. Let's, Raphie, you got to go, don't you?
I do. I got a couple more minutes, but I could hang out in the chat and you could say hello to whoever else is on schedule.
I could.
Yeah.
I could.
Or we could talk about whatever you wanted to talk about with YouTube and hateful or angry comments,
I might do a whole show
which is
on
fine
that.
too.
I might do a whole show on that.
See, I like the angry comments. I'm a little different. We could save it for the whole show.
You do?
I do.
But it's just garbage.
It's not, though. I don't think it's garbage. I think everyone, and look, I'm not encouraging angry comments. I think that there's a different way to go about it. But
right.
It's when the comments stop that we're in trouble. If somebody cares about us or our opinion or whatever it is that we're putting out enough to tell us how horrible we are or how much they dislike us, it's because they're asking for the engagement because they're connected to us in some way or another. And so to me, I feel like, without sounding a little too Pollyanna, every single one of those negative comments is an opportunity for us to connect with somebody a little bit differently. But the flip side of it is that there are people that I just don't care about, and they'll never know that I don't care about them because I don't reach out to them to tell them that I don't care about them. I just don't think about them.
Yeah, I don't reach out to them either. I just think that when people like troll a channel just to spew like negativity, like I just want to block them because I'm just like, it's gross.
Well, if somebody's trolling a channel
Yeah.
and spewing negativity, then I think that they should be blocked, or at least put in a timeout. Yeah.
Put them up against the wall and hit them with a dodgeball. That's like, back in the day. That's just me.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I want to learn more about that. We could save that one for the negative comment podcast as well.
Yeah. Anyway, let's can we go see what is Chris out on the water fishing?
He is. You want to bring him in?
Yeah, I'd love to see what he's up to.
Hey,
Hey.
I got all kinds of views. I've got all kinds of views on the negative people. I think it's fun. I posted a post about my wife, and it's just funny because you get all these comments of people that are good, positive, negative, and like Rafi, I'm with you. Like when a negative person on social media, if it's business traction, they're helping your algorithm. They're making it viral. It's really crazy that everyone has a voice and they can weigh in whatever they want. And I mean, obviously, in a perfect world, we'd all be happy, that kumbaya feeling. But it is crazy. And I posted like 2 days ago, kind of teasing, because I think in fishing specifically, you're cool if you use a certain bait. And I know we've talked a little bit about this. And so I just put a really dumb post with holding a fish. And I said, I caught this with your favorite bait, the bait that makes us cool, the one that we fish together because we're both cool. And I didn't say what bait it was. And I had a couple people, they're like, a guy messaged me, he's like, which bait did you use? And I'm like, you missed the whole point of it.
Right.
Because, it's like you whiffed, but people actually negatively pick on people by their choice of bait. And it's like, come on, you're really that cool because you're catching these, 4 or 5, maybe a 10-pound bass, but in the world of fishing and eating fish and harvesting stuff in the ocean, why are you picking on people because of their bait? But I think it's interesting because the social media world, I think it's fine to have a voice and giving people that chance. And I don't think we're changing people's minds when you confront them. I think it's really fun, though, to just consistently offer an alternative and just be positive. Killing them with kindness, I think, is kind of fun. The idea of posting and ghosting, I think, is healthy when you don't want, you're not worried about growing your engagement.
Right.
But, if somebody says something negative, I don't normally block them. I normally hit them back with like, thanks for your great insight. I'm glad you've figured out life. And
yeah. I love doing that too. There's this one guy that I literally, this guy like never says anything nice anywhere. And I always send him something really nice. Like, man, thank you so much for taking the time to comment. I really appreciate you. He must hate me so much.
And I love it. And just imagine that you're just infuriating them, making it worse, and they're just ready to explode on you. And you're like, what? Really? I mean, we're all just humans. If you look at people, we have so much more in common than we have different. But I mean, I value other people's opinions. I think we all get really stuck thinking we have the answers. And if you're not willing to engage in somebody with a different opinion, I think that's really that's where we stifle our own personal growth or anything else. But yeah, negativity. I know Rafi, he thrives in that moment because he's so witty and fun, and it makes it great. And that's why the chat, I think, lights up so well.
Wait, you're talking
I'll
about
tell you,
Rafi,
I was fishing
right?
this bait. Yeah, same guy. Yeah, I mean, he's funny, but he gets himself in trouble, and we gotta make sure that there's a moral compass aboard the show. But can I just talk about this thing? I mentioned this bait to you, the Smithwick jerkbait.
Yeah.
It's from the bag. I told you I hadn't used this thing. I had like 6 or 7 follows. And we're talking about pressured water, but just going to a jerkbait. Anything that looks like a fish, that's what fish want to eat. It's wounded. It's almost dead. I just caught like a 4-pounder when you guys were talking about your sickness. And it almost hooked me because I got it in and it was flopping around the boat and I just let it go. But this thing, crazy good. Your sickness, do you feel like can I say the word COVID? Since COVID, when somebody's sick, even from like a Zoom call or a podcast like this, do you feel like you're going to get it from them? Yeah, does that make you nervous? Because I don't. Other people are like, "Oh my gosh, you're sick. I can't talk to you. I'm going to get sick." It's like, what? Seriously, like, are you more panicked from sicknesses now? Even though I'm pretty sure my limited view of medicine, I don't think I can catch your food poisoning. But do you feel? Are you more worried about sickness when other people are sick now?
I am not.
Since the big C word. No,
I am
me
not.
neither.
In fact, during COVID, I feel like I was like patient number 3, and so when it first happened and everyone was freaked out and like people were washing their groceries before it came into the house and stuff. I felt like I was the one going to, I felt like I was the one going to the grocery store for everyone and buying everybody's groceries and doing all that. I wasn't too worried. So
I was pretty bad. I was like licking my hands everywhere, out with my wife. I think my in-laws were the worst because we're all supposed to protect the elderly and people that have this secondary nervousness, and they were out shopping more than anybody. I think it's like Costco every week and Home Depot. Is like what the community I live in. I think I told you we had like on water barbecues. I'll probably get people in trouble, but I mean the pickleball went crazy. And everyone's sweating and spitting and playing these games that they're sharing each other's fluids. So pretty interesting stuff during that time. But anyway, I'm bummed that you're sick. I know we chatted a second in the green room and that you're pulling it together. So comments to you. Thanks for being here. But fishing. Well, I know we want to talk about pressured water, and you just let me know when you want to start chatting about that because I live on a lake it's hammered and there's kids fishing, and I came to a spot that's specifically pressured. We got the dam, and these fish see baits all day and all night long, so it'll be interesting to chat about it.
Yeah, well, this time of year is usually an exciting time to fish, right? Because during spawn and even post spawn, right, you're catching some big fish, and everyone's trying to, you're watching the same fish get caught 3-4 times by a bunch of kids. And
no, it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
When you witness that and you're like, leave the poor fish alone. Like these fish are getting hammered. It's obviously that opportunity to catch maybe your biggest fish, and it is so fun to sight fish and to try to get something that's right in front of you. But knowing that fish, I mean, one, obviously we talked about that during the spawn time. Those fish are up there making babies, and they maybe need a little private time. But at the same time, they're being caught over and over and over, and they're learning what baits are and what realistically they're learning what not to eat to avoid getting caught. So you're just making fishing harder at that point.
Right.
But right now I think the difference is what I really key into. When you're thinking of pressured water, there's 2 different things, and one is show them something they probably haven't seen. That's one thought I like to think about, and maybe different baits. Everyone always goes to real finesse practices and things, but I don't necessarily think that that's the key. I think a different bait, showing them something they're not used to is one component. And then I think the other piece is showing them a bait in a different presentation. And so if you imagine if the human being, if there's a brain and you're driving down the road and say for you right now, you're sick, or if you're full, what does it take for you to want to go and eat something? Like right now, I'd have to do some pretty good advertisement to you to get you to actually think about going and eating something. But that's, you start to think about fast food and driving by and fancy colors and all these different things. That works on humans, probably something to do with working on animals, a different presentation. If you're throwing a bait and you're like, oh, I got to slow it down and make it really slow. If the water's clear, springtime post spawn, they probably get a really good look at it. Maybe sometimes during pressured water is the time to really speed it up, make sure they don't see that bait. They don't get a good look at it, and that can also trigger some bites. So I like to just think of things maybe a little different, but I'd love it if we got some callers and what they do for pressured water. I know we got some people, some Southern California friends. The water's down there, millions and millions of people trying to catch the same fish.
Yeah.
The urban settings are definitely, unique. And living where I live, private access, you think, oh, you're so lucky you live where you got this private lake.
Everyone that lives there has that private lake, which means
that's why they're here. And then their friends are coming in, and so it just means that you have a private lake that has a lot of people that have access that really like to catch fish. So I think it's we get kind of jaded, but The Grande Bass line, we could talk a little bit about that because I brought some baits out, and I think that's that finesse soft plastics. It's really hard to go wrong
Sure.
with soft plastics.
Sure.
And the biggest thing too is you think of pressured water, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so hard to catch fish. A lot of times, we're just fishing in the wrong time. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm fishing along a big, open, sunny area. I'm trying to force feed fish in an area where really, yeah, this is pressured, but it's also there's no cover, there's no laydowns, there's direct sunlight. The fish are scared to death. A bird could come over here and grab this visual. It's easy to see them, and so it's probably the hardest time to catch a fish as well as being pressured water. So that's when I like. I mean, I'll take the bait I'm using specifically, and I'm going to switch. We got the Grande Bass. This is a bait I talked about, and it's I don't know the screen how well it picks up because I know we're kind of freezing a couple times, but I'm Neko rigging the airtail rattler, and that bait. Talk about finesse. I got a nose weight up in there, and that tail is going to float up on the back end. I got a size 1 hook pointed towards the back. Because I'm along this shallow dam, you can see that behind me, all I'm going to do, I see a couple fish that were actually, they're coming off the shoreline following the jerk bait. And so then I'm going to flick out about 15 to 20 feet. And then maybe as those fish retreat back, I'm going to throw that bait back in front of them and see if they pick it up on the way back. So just some little techniques that I like to do.
Now, when the waters are pressured, do you like? I tend to like to go either really early in the morning, or I'm going to go a little bit later in the day, only because I mean, it's a numbers game for me. I mean, there's less people on the water, and I just feel like it's going to give me a better opportunity to catch some fish.
Yeah, that's your feeding time specifically. I mean, most people know like whether it's early morning, sun's just coming up, or as the sun's going down. One thing around here, like bass fishing, it just depends. But Northern California, pressured water, if the fish are getting a lot of people pressuring them during the day, they're probably getting other wildlife kind of scaring them. If you want to find fish, go at night. I mean, that's some of our best fishing is, especially when it's really hot in the middle of the day and those fish have driven down from the shoreline. And if you're a shore fisherman, a bank fisherman, everyone's like, man, I really can't catch fish. You go out and you're fishing from the bank. Those fish maybe have retreated to the deeper, cooler water. And so you wait till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and then those fish have pulled up. And like you're saying, going late, maybe even go a little bit later. Night fishing is incredible for bass. And that's a really cool opportunity to catch maybe some of the biggest, smartest fish. They're like, I'm not even going to feed during the day. They go out in the middle of the lake and then they come back up on those vertical walls and they're just smashing. And then it's, top water, whatever. But yeah, the time of day specifically really helps to consider that with pressured water. So I think the biggest thing is, fish what's going on in your water, fish the situation. If you've only got an hour and you're like, I got to go to some pressured water, you got to do the best you can to make the decisions. Like, how do I get my bait maybe further offshore to the deeper water and try to fish to where the fish are? So
yeah, when it comes to bait selection, what do you like to throw when waters are pressured?
So I mean, I'm a soft plastic guy. I'm a Neko rig guy. So that bait I just showed you, that bait might be a little bulbous and kind of big for a fish.
Yeah.
Just depends on what they're looking for. Something a little like skinnier, more slender. I actually have another monster. It's the Grande Bass bait. This one right here. So the airtail wiggler might be a better profile just to actually, if that tail's floating, and I got that one, and I'll probably switch that out in maybe 15, 20 minutes and just bounce that around the bottom. Soft plastics, just because these fish, if they're pressured, they're probably looking for an easy meal, and there's nothing easier than a piece of soft plastic bait sitting on the bottom, kind of bouncing around. Doesn't matter if it's Texas rig, drop shot, whatever. That fish does not have to work a lot to swallow that. And they're cruising around, they're swimming, and especially if they're pressured, the fish get displaced. They actually move a lot more because they're constantly having baits thrown at them. They've seen a whole bunch. And they'll swim around and they see a piece of soft plastic. If it looks like a good presentation, they'll just swim over to it, puff their gills, suck it in its mouth like a vacuum, and then you're on. So soft plastics, it's kind of the cleanup. I get to fish a lot with Kelly, and I'll be fishing the pressured water, and I'm trying to force some kind of cool bait to, like we were talking about, to make myself feel cool how I'm going to catch fish. And she'll just start out with drop shot, and she'll throw it maybe a little offshore, drop shot a couple fish, and it's like that whole intelligent piece. And I always tease that she's just a lot smarter than me. She goes right to a bait that she knows is going to work, and she catches her fish. And then she starts messing around with things that are harder. But it just, I think it's really ironic in the pro fishing world.
Yeah.
Everyone knows when it's pressured, they go to drop shot almost as a last resort. Never understood that. It's like, what a weird thing that
and
you
it works.
know something
like,
is.
why wouldn't you go to it right from the get-go?
It kills me, and it's like, no, I think it's me. I wish we could do a survey like, why is that? I don't know why drop shot got a bad rap or how that worked or what happened. Who was the bass fishing person that made it not cool? And maybe it's the way we all talk about it, but it is an interesting thing that it's so highly effective. Everyone knows, like, if I can't get fish to bite my favorite crankbait or whatever it may be, they end up later going to drop shot. So I think that's an interesting thing that, it's like the drop shot. We could probably do a whole show about that, but you bouncing around, got a little one on. Nothing too big, but we got one on the airtail. We'll bring it up here. So here's our live view. So if we got spotty reception, we'll pull it up. But
there you go.
So we got you right here. So there's your fish. And this is what I talk about with that hook. Hook is right on the nose.
Yeah.
Able to guide that fish around. Bait slides up the line. Super easy to keep your bait. Keep using it. Fish is going right back in the water.
All right, now hold that out. Make it look like a 7-pounder.
Oh, yeah. So we probably got, we got.
Yeah, there it is.
We got the
monster
bass. So, we're probably 1.5 pounds to start our bag for the day, and we got the airtail going Neko rig. So back in the water it goes. But that's, fishing live. We got Grande Bass update from Raphie. Now we're catching fish on the Grande Bass, and that's honestly why I use this bait. And I love it, and I've never used this thing Neko style, and I just know that nose weight, it's just going to be a nice, easy presentation, bounce along the bottom.
Sure.
That fish came in from behind it, puffed it, and hooked it right up in its upper nose. And the beauty of having that is you can really fight that fish. You can guide it. You can bring it back to the boat. But also, if they gut it and you're rubbing against their teeth, and so always check your line. But when it's hooked up on its outer lip like that, you're not going to be rubbing your line. You don't have to worry about retying yet. So just back in the water and catch another one.
Nice. Well, let's take a quick call because we had somebody on hold for a little bit. Let's go ahead, caller.
Hey guys,
Hey.
I wanted to make sure that I poked my head in when he was running that Grande Bass. That looks exactly like something I've been running all week.
It's Matt Brown.
But I wanted to. Oh yeah, I didn't even say hi to who it was, but I saw Chris over there, and I was so excited. I had to make sure that I poked my head in there when he had one on the line.
Nice.
So tell me, what were
you were kind of making me chuckle a little bit.
How were you using the Grande Bass? I want to know what kind of setup you were doing.
So recently, I actually fished that exact rig you've got right now last night and got to play with it a little bit. And then I have been doing a lot of the Seiko rattlesnake, the little half Cinco rattlesnake, and I do a lot of Neko with that lately, and I've caught several larger spots in it, and recently on that. That's been a fun one. But
so I'll be
yeah. No,
right
I was going to ask
I'm showing
you.
So, well, I'm going to be honest. This is what I use Neko style first. I had never done this airtail rattler until today, and this thing has caught so many fish. It's been awesome. So I'm with you. It's really cool because it's a standard Cinco front, and I love the way that it bounces down. It visually just works exactly like a Cinco. It doesn't bend too much when you hook it there, but as that tail swims, because of those ribs on it, it swims through the water completely different than a Cinco. So I believe it has all the benefits of the Cinco in the front. And I was teasing, like, we got to rename that thing. It's like a mullet. It's like a party in the back, and the way that tail's going on, it's all business up front. So it's a super good bait for. It's the Neko mullet or something when you're using that bait. But no, I think that is an amazing bait for a Neko rig.
And I flipped that around too, and I've been running a Texas rig on a 2-aught, worm hook, not even an EWG. and it kind of has that same NACO action where it falls the same way, but I can run it through a little heavier cover. I can duck it underneath, a lay down or stick it underneath a dock with, maybe a big brush pile underneath it. And when I do it like that, do you remember the old Sluggo back in the day?
I don't. No, I'm
That
not a slugger
action.
guy, so no.
But that action of that tail comes up with it, and then you throw the vibration. And the cool thing I was going to say, unlike the Sluggo, the actual corrugations on it, when you swim that, you get, even right on the surface, you can get that bluegill swirl action on it. And it's such a really cool little reaction bait you can run, because you can fish it in that same method, but you get a little different action than you used to because of the way the profile runs up.
Yeah. No, you're nailing it. I think it's interesting because a lot of bait manufacturers have gone to having those extra ribs, that profile, that it's like a tangible, audible thing that we can't hear as humans, but underwater, that's moving a lot of water. And you think about how the bass hears and feels things with its lateral line. If that's near a fish, it's just amplifying all that extra movement, and it's just pushing a lot of extra water away from that bait. And so it's going to allow fish, especially dirty water where you might be fishing a standard Cinco, this thing's going to be just noisier, but really it's that vibration of the water. So it's going to move more water. I think the fish, easier target for them to ambush underwater. So it's kind of cool.
And it kind of even ties into the topic we're on now. And what's been fun for me is you fish these tournaments with 150 boats on a medium-sized lake. We all end up, fishing the same point or fishing the same set of docks or whatnot. You're in the general same area, and talk about fishing pressure. Stack 20 boats in a cove that maybe is 20 foot wide, and you come in behind and having that little bit different action, having that presentation be really similar to something that they've historically bitten, but to have, when you run NACO on that and it hits the bottom and that tail comes up and kind of flutters around, and it's just a little different than what they have seen in the past. And I like you mentioned that on the pressured water thing.
Have you put a rattle in the tail yet? Because I have not fished with a rattle. That's a whole nother piece to add when you're talking pressured water and you got silent baits, and then you add in that glass rattle in the back end. I mean, specifically giving more noise to something changes the presentation. Let me know, have you tried that yet?
I don't know about you, but Bass Pro Shop, Tackle Warehouse, everybody has been just about out of those glass rattles. So I think we need to tap Rick and see where he finds those, because that has been my next goal, is to run that in some sort of, a glass rattle or a heavy bead on the end, and try that out. But yeah, that extra little vibration would be spectacular, and I'm actually excited to run it that way.
Well, the good news is I just ordered I think 14,000 packs of rattles. But if you need some, you can get one from one of our partners, Anglers Pro Tackle. I'll pin the comment in the chat. I can find it. Yeah, there it is. And you can buy it from them. They've got some from Venom. Look at me pumping out some other brands, but yeah, Venom's got a few packs left over there until they start carrying ours. So
they got a little baby.
And it's been a funny thing, because that has been something that I've ran a bunch of the rattles for years, and I don't know what happened this year, but trying to get glass rattles is hard. Oh man, well, that's yummy right there.
There you go. You'll have them shortly. So. Right on.
So is there when you're ordering rattles, I want to ask you, Rick, is there a difference of can you order 3 BBs in them, 2 BBs? Tell us a little bit about your rattle choices.
Yeah, you can. So your it's length, diameter, and then the number of BBs. I relied on some advice from Tackle Warehouse because they know I wanted to get their input. They seem to know a thing or two about fishing tackle. And then I talked with the owner of Grande Bass, and both of them pretty much told me the same thing. They said that 2 BBs were better than 3, and they thought that, obviously it depends on the bait, but they said that the most universal, the best-selling size is 5 millimeters, 5 millimeter diameter with 16 millimeter in length, which is about a medium
And then
size.
is yours same on both ends, or does it have the teardrop?
It's got the teardrop.
You got. I mean, you
hold it in
exactly
place.
what I want. So good job.
Yeah. So
Exactly, that was me too. I was going, man, I'm really hoping those are exactly it. But
Hey, got your Smithwick.
on that,
Hey, I'm gonna just keep talking.
yeah.
sorry, I keep stepping over you because there's a little bit of a delay. Oh, he's got another one on. Looks like on my camera.
No, just keep talking.
Looks like a decent fish.
I think we got a bad. I think we lost him.
Uh-oh.
All right. Well,
No. All right, it's all right.
is he back? Okay.
Are you waiting on me? I can't tell if you're asking Chris or me if I'm back.
No. We were hoping to get Chris back while he's catching a fish, but we'll go back to him in just a little bit. It looks like we've got a bit of a delay. Matt, what do you like to throw besides, the baits you talked about when you're fishing pressured water?
So
you get to put one thing on, and it's not a drop shot. What is it? Oh, hold on. I think we got him. Do we got him?
Yeah, we do.
All right, put him up on the screen.
All right, just
there he is. Oh, that's a good
just
fish
real quick.
too.
There's a porker. That belly, nice healthy fish, good bass. Talking to Rick about this bait that I've never used, just throwing it. I love jerk baits. Everyone wants to talk about different brands. You throw this in there, you move it around enough. Talking about pressured water, get that thing moving. Don't let the fish get a good look at it, and you're going to end up with some good fish. So that was a great one. Thanks, Smithwick.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
All right.
That is a very
All right,
nice one.
Back to business.
So I'm probably going to tie either something super small on. I'm going to go, even down to I'll throw even the old grubs if it's super pressured. And then, I don't know, I can't get away from a spinnerbait in pressured water.
Sure.
I'll throw some sort of, whatever match the hatch of whatever species is in that lake, enter here, color spinnerbait. And color water, if it's dark water, that's what you bury. But it's a double Colorado, something that's going to make a lot of noise, and then it's got to have some sort of swim trailer at the end of it, and that's the big deal for me, is having that tight profile with a swim bait on the end of it with an action that I can speed up, slow down, stall. Something that I can do a little bit of finesse with, but you still have the opportunity to cover a lot of water. Just put it in front of a lot of fish's face.
Yeah, you're not wrong. This time of year, I can throw a spinnerbait all day.
So when you choose Colorado, are you choosing that because of the retrieval speed, because it's more resistance, or just the noise? Or are you trying to mimic more of like a bluegill baitfish? What's your reason in your brain of what makes you go for that double Colorado?
Is that a question for me or for? Oh, go ahead, Matt.
In all honesty, for me, I like the retrieval speed that a Colorado allows. I can run like a 6.3 to 1, 6 to 1, somewhere around there, and a really slow retrieval speed, and be able to hold a double Colorado right at a water depth. So, when they drop down and we're now fishing 16, 18 feet, I can get it down and hold it in that area a lot easier than, say, a double willow, which will knife through a little easier, and I'll end up over cranking it a lot. So it's a feel thing for me. It's more of that than it is mimic a presentation. And I mean, there's benefits of both, and like but when I'm running a double willow, it's more like that fall, they're feeding up, they're moving really fast on bait, and I'm just ripping it through, and I want it to hold nice and straight. On the double Colorado, anytime I'm trying to slow it down or maybe fish a specific depth of water, I'll go with that. Or, that's kind of my reasoning behind it.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think that's the thing is in fishing, and when I ask people, it's like to have a reason why you do it, I think is more important than anything. It gives you that confidence, whether you're trying to mimic, like if you got a shad spawn and you want to really move it really fast, you think of like Rick Clunn and the Trickster and ripping it through grass and getting it going as fast as you can, specifically, like you said, around fall, that's awesome. Where I fish, it's a lot of bluegill, so having that double Colorado, it's like, okay, this is going to look a little bit more fatter profile of the body, might look a little bit more like those fish. So you're spot on. Just having your reason of why you throw it, I promise you that helps people catch more fish.
Absolutely, and that's kind of the big thing. You said on pressured water, what do you go to? And it's for more than 9 times out of 10, it's whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever you've been throwing recently that has worked for you. That when you put it in the water, you're anticipating a fish to bite. I don't know what it is about having that mindset in a tournament, in a going out with your buddies. If you're struggling to get a bite, there's something to do with that mental aspect. I don't know if you're just retrieving faster, or you change your rod tip angle, or you're less aware of situations. But not trusting your bait in a high pressure situation is the number one way to not get a bite. Just go out there and anticipate that, something you trust and know how to fish well. And whether that's, throw a wacky worm or, the old Texas rib. My dad is the guy that will put a 9-inch ribbon tail worm and throw that in every condition at all times. And he'll outfish most people on most days. And it's just because that's what he's comfortable with. And he knows what it feels like to adjust to be able to get the retrieve right to actually get a bite.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like the Colorado that time when we're fishing pressured water too. I just tend to believe that that extra thump, that extra vibration is just something that's gonna attract fish. I mean, I like it a little slower. I like that big thump, and that's why we put one of each in the box this month, because I know like not everyone feels that way, right? And so that's why we gave you a Colorado and a double willow.
I think of it as presentation bubbles, where as depending on how pressured the fish are, the further away I can get a fish to attract and notice my bait, and hopefully get one of his buddies to also see it. It's something about when you're fishing, especially this time of year, you'll see, especially with live scope or whatever you have for equipment, you'll see those isolated fish. But a lot of times the fish you're catching are the ones that are in a small group or something where they're competing. And being able to attract a lot of attention and maybe get some competitive streak, especially on a heavy pressured water, is why I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I will not take up your entire evening. I'm actually going to step into a family event, but I appreciate you guys letting me chat for this long, Chris. And Rick, I hope you give me a couple of those rattles pretty quick. I'm excited about that.
Well, Chaplain Cap also said you can roll to Temu and pick up like 8,000 rattles for like 49 cents. So
great, good insight. Yeah, thanks. I'm sure the Temu rattles are great. They're probably some kind of weird spy BB in there, and it's fine. So
yeah, totally.
Let us know how those work.
Yeah,
they're GPS tokens.
Fills your credit card information and catches fish.
Fair enough.
Awesome.
Fair enough. All right, man.
Well, awesome. We'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah, enjoy family time. All right. All right, as always, guys, the phone lines are open, 323-210-4180. We're only going to take a couple more calls today only because we're not going to go as late as normal. I'm a little under the weather, and I'd like to thank CVS and their adult electrolytes for keeping me hydrated because I feel like 50 cents. Anyway. Whew. All right. I just want to say thank you for everyone that's tuning in, whether you're watching this live or you're watching this on the rewind, or wherever you get your favorite podcast. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let us know that you like what we're doing. If you wouldn't mind helping me out with a thumbs up on this video. I see that we've got like 18 people watching. Oh, 18 likes. It's not really great. So if you could help me out, that would be really great. It'll help me cut down on my therapy costs, and it'll allow me to spend more money on glass rattles for the inventory and the 5X shirts that everyone keeps asking me about, which I think are already online, but I'll make sure tomorrow. All right, DeBurley says you can get a 50-pack on Amazon for $8.99. That's a pretty good price. It's a pretty good price. So I would say hook yourself up, get some glass rattles. Don't just try them on Grande Bass baits. Try them on all your baits and see what you like, right? I mean, look, at the end of the day, you got to fish what you like and fish what gives you the confidence. But trying new baits, especially when the water is pressured, might be the key. Oh, go to Chris then.
We don't love to see this, but it's the spotted bass. These are these things that we talk about. So we got some spots in the lake, and they shouldn't have been here because the history of this lake and the fishing club, they've never planted spotted bass. So maybe one came through the river. We're gonna let this little guy go because he's a fighter. He went after that Smithwick lure, and it's about the exact same size as him. So
yeah,
we talk about fish harvest, all these different things. You definitely want to consult with a true aquatic biologist before you just start pulling fish out of your lake. But spotted bass as well, I mean, we know the world record came out of Bullard's Bar, which is like an hour from here.
yeah.
But they do some serious damage. You show that to people over in Georgia with shoal bass. They put on tournaments just to harvest spotted bass. So not normally your bass's best friend if you're a largemouth bass fishery, but it's just fun having multi-species in a lake and you're out targeting certain things. And it's, that's why I talk about this jerk bait. Spotted bass historically are a little bit feistier at times, and they'll feed suspended, and you get a school of them. I fish them a lot over where our marina is, and you get some really good ones.
All right, tell me why I don't want spotted and largemouth in the same body of water.
Well, it just depends on what happens in your fishery. If there's more habitat, like we have a lot more habitat for largemouth that's muddier. If it's rockier, a lot of our Northern California fisheries, the spotted bass will just go around and consume all the bass fry from the largemouth, and they'll just eat them when they're young, and they'll basically decimate your population of largemouth. And so they're just really aggressive, especially post-spawn small bass. They just eat them all. And we're really fortunate where we are is we don't have a lot of spotted bass habitat. So the largemouth do just fine. Plus we've got really well-established largemouth that are up to 10 pounds or more, and they'll just go around like that bass I just let go. Probably be a meal for a largemouth bass later, so it's fine. But it's kind of normal. Most bass in most places, I don't know, maybe somebody could in the chat. I don't even know if they're native, really. I don't know where bass are native, your largemouth. I know shoal bass, like Georgia, different places where they have the native shoal bass. They do tournaments, really, where you actually go out and you're targeting the spots to get rid of them. And every spotted bass you catch, you take it out of that waterway to allow the native bass basically to have food. And so where we're at, some places they're just spotted bass fisheries. So it's not like you see spotted bass, it's the end of the world. Some places they'll just have spots, maybe some smallies and no largemouth. So it's good to get to know your own fishery, do your research and find out. But where we are, I'll just tell you, never take fish and put them in a different body of water. You don't know what parasites you're bringing. You don't know what you're going to do. And that's that thing is like we all think, I'm just going to take a couple fish home from the Delta, say, and I'll bring them to a local lake. Well, we now have some spotted bass in here, and we got to make sure that we kind of manage our fisheries and consult the true professionals that know the intricacies of managing that. So
Totally.
but yeah, but that's, I mean, I'm all about catching big fish, and it's like numbers are fun, but I want a larger fish, and too many mouths to feed make your fish a little smaller. It was fun. We had Shan O'Gorman on here a while ago, and he's trying to break down the myths of bass fishing and what's good. And that pressured fishing, I mean, some people think more bass are better. I'd rather have bigger fish that, I have more fun catching a few big fish than just a whole bunch of the fish that I just caught.
Sure.
So that's just personal preference. But no, we got to make sure all anglers are happy, because some people just want to catch fish. They don't care how big it is.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Let's go to the phone line. We've got another caller on. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I want to mention, I was going to say something else, but one thing I want to mention, I want to agree with Chris here. Spotted bass has kind of taken over the fisheries where I'm at. And I am much more, I would rather go fishing and catch 1 or 2, maybe 3 good fish, big fish, than catch, 8 or 10 small spots. I definitely would agree with that. I definitely agree, especially if you have a boat. Vegetation also, like, make sure you clean your boat from any kind of vegetation that may be on the prop and the trolling motor and stuff like that, because that vegetation crossing lakes may mess things up too. But one thing I did want to talk about though is with pressured. I fished pressured water my whole life. I grew up on highly pressured fisheries, and a couple of things I kind of wanted to add to the conversation was, if you're using spinning gear, number one thing, braid to a leader. That braid creates a shadow. So when you cast, that braid has a shadow to it because it's opaque, right? So if your fish are real line shy, and I fish from the bank a lot, so I get to see it happen. If I'm doing braid to leader, I run a really long leader. Some people think I'm crazy. That's fine. I'm not the greatest fisherman in the world, so that's fine. But when that braid lands over them and they see that shadow, I don't think they know what it is. They just know it's a shadow, and it spooks them every time. And then, I've also noticed that as far as the middle, stay away from the middle. And what I mean by that is middle-sized baits either go small or go big. And as far as your retrieve, there's this riprap that I fish a lot, and a lot of people fish this riprap, especially from the bank, from boats, all that stuff. And I kind of noticed this one day. I was reeling. I threw a cast and was like, "Man, that's a terrible cast," and reeled it up real fast. And I had like 3 fish follow my bait all the way in, and if I'd have had a little bit longer of a cast instead of a terrible cast, I might have caught one. And, the rest of the day, I didn't really get any looks, because I was thinking, just regular speeds and regular stuff, but either go real slow or go real fast, because if you go real fast, it's automatically reaction. Like they have to make a choice that catches their attention. They got to make a decision immediately. And then, but stay away from like your medium speeds, your medium sized baits. That's kind of helped me a little bit. And then your shadow yourself, the shadow you make. So like your rod makes a shadow, your body makes a shadow, your boat makes a shadow, the trolling motor makes noise, stuff like that. And sometimes I've noticed, like fishing out of a boat, when you pull up to a spot, and you drop the trolling motor and stuff, before you start fishing, go eat something. Go eat a sandwich, drink a Coke, and just kind of float there for a minute, and before you actually start fishing. And I've noticed that has been kind of helpful, because it kind of puts the boat in the environment where it's not just some obtrusive thing that's just out there. Like all of a sudden, whoa, here's this giant spaceship, as far as they know, right? That just came in, and then so stuff like that. And then typically when I start, for the most part, like your cast is super important. So the splash you make is super important. And I learned this from I believe it's the Informative Fisherman on Instagram. I think that's who I got.
Nick.
I think that's
good old Nick. Yeah, he's down at the Delta.
Yeah,
he's about an hour. So
yeah,
I'm just gonna tell
okay,
you.
yeah. So I got the name right.
Share,
okay.
Yeah, you're crushing information, and you're going like specifically high level fishing information, and it's good. I hope people are paying attention, because you're talking about, I'm 6'5", and my shadow, especially when the sun starts to go down in the end of the day, that shadow's so long, and if your shadow goes over the top of the fish, it spooks them. If your line goes over the top of the fish, it spooks them. And you learn a lot of this, and it's your cast. Sometimes you want to have that cast splash to gain their attention, but really the fish know what's going on. And sometimes you want that bait, and that's the difference. Like when you're flipping and your bait's sliding right across the top and it just kind of drops in without a splash. Those are all important. The cool thing about a fish, you mentioned the one thing, the boat, fish are not smart. And I'm just going to say this, and everyone's going to I want everyone to be mad at me and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you said fish are stupid. Fish forget really quick. And so if you get your boat and all of a sudden these fish are scared, have your boat sit there for 5 to 10 minutes. Pretty soon the fish come up and they use your boat as cover. And I don't know the part of the brain, I forget.
Yeah.
I can't, the part of the brain that makes you remember things and have decisions. Rick, you may know the word I'm thinking of, but they don't have that processing spot in the front of their brain like humans do and other animals. And so fish, you hit on something I think is really important. You said you're forcing them or making them react. That instinct reaction bite, when you have a pressured fish that actually gets to think, because bless their little hearts, they're thinking as best they can with the size of their brains they've got. They see a bait, they see the shadow, they're pressured. But if you do something with that bait and the reaction triggers their brain instinct, they'd have no chance but to eat it. So I talk about all the time where you forced the bite or you made them eat, they couldn't process the information. You crushed it. So tell me what you learned from Nick, because Nick's pretty dang smart, and I want to hear the tip that Nick passed on to you.
Yeah. So one thing, and this is kind of really specific to especially, well, maybe not specific, but especially for bank fishermen. Start maybe not light, but start finessey first, and then go loud after. So like one thing he was talking about was like a lot of people, like when they come up to a tree, they come up to a point or whatever, they're like, okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this thing. It's got a lot of rattles in it. It's a chatterbait or it's a whatever, right? And, they you do like a pie, you cut your angles, and kind of pie it across. And then, but what he was talking about was like your first cast is most important, because, the first cast in there, you got to be on target. So your casting ability is huge, but if you get in there with a more natural finesse presentation first, chances are you're going to pick off the big one, right? And then once you've kind of worked your pie over that area, whether it's a lay down or whatever it is, then go in and go loud and get your reaction strikes, that are quick and fast and fast moving loud baits. That was one thing that he was talking about, and I think it was more in reference to especially bank fishermen, which I do a lot of.
I'll tell you, Nick Hatfield was on the show. I was going to say Nick Hatfield was on the show a while ago.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Fishing Pro. Yeah, and he mentioned the exact thing. When he comes up to a school of fish, he picks off fish a little bit quiet at first. And your crankbait, your different baits that may be easier, and you're looking for that quick reaction bite where you can turn in numbers. If he sees a big school, and fish, got to remember, they congregate normally by size. You don't often see a bunch of small fish hanging out big fish because that's their food. So if you see this big school, forward-facing sonar, or just know where they're at, you throw in there with something a little bit quieter, you pick off the big fish, and then you can move through all your other baits. So even boat anglers, the top guys understand that. So that's it's an opposite way. I was just mentioning my wife does that. She fishes with drop shot first. And you can go in and clean up with anything that's your confidence bait that's bigger or louder and try to catch a couple. But, fishing that smaller, more finesse style it's not the orthodox way of doing it, but a lot of people are keyed into that. So that's smart.
Yeah, yeah, and I'll tell you one thing I have a lot of luck with is small jerk baits. So like, and so, like I'm talking small, like where you have to throw it on a spinning rod, small.
Mhm.
You know, I do have a lot of luck with that because you can put small translucent ish jerk bait, and you can work it fat, you can work it slow, you can do whatever you want with a jerk bait. It's just since forward facing sonar, people kind of like figured it out, because of that. But really, a jerk bait you can throw and you can kind of do whatever you want, essentially, and you can either go with a soft plastic and have it kind of spiral. If you rig it right, you got the right weight in the right area. When you pause it, it'll spiral like a tube. And then but if you don't want that, you can do like a treble hook bait, and I mean you can change your speed and your sink and all that stuff to kind of do whatever you want for the time. But I have a lot of luck with small jerk baits.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, forward-facing sonar, if it's taught us anything, is that fish prefer a 2 to 3 inch fish. When you're talking about a small jerk bait,
Yeah.
you're talking about whether it's a jerk bait or soft plastic. You see all these pros, that's what they're catching their fish on. That's the key that I take away from all the forward-facing sonar fish. And so when I do choose a bait, kind of like I'm choosing out here, we're bouncing something around, something that is that same bait profile. It's fun because that Grande Bass Airtel, that is, it's a little longer than that 2 to 3 inch bait, but if the nose is down in the mud, that's the fish we're looking for. So, and when their hook is down inside the fish a little more, that's the key. You know that thing engulfed it, it choked it, it got that fish deep in its belly.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I take away from forward-facing sonar as anything else is when a pro sees fish, whether they're throwing a jerk bait, and you touched on it, that's smaller profile sometimes, but a lot of them are throwing that ball head soft plastic, kind of like what would be a fluke or some soft plastic jerk bait. That's what fish are eating all day, and especially right now, pressured water. What's cool in our pond here is you got the bluegill have moved up, and the bluegill are starting to spawn. And so now these bass are going to be going around there and start eating bluegill and the baby bluegill, and now the whole food chain turns into these fish eating small fish. The one thing to also remember is the bass are done spawning their fry, getting a little bit bigger, and then that's a lot of the forage food for bass as well. They're just going to eat their own fry. So smaller sometimes is the way to go. Like you said, then go big. Stay away from the middle. I'm a huge fan. I talk every time on the show. It's like go big, go small, go fast, go slow. Mix those things up, and every once in a while, go something through the middle range. But I think giving them something specifically different on each end is key. That's awesome. Good insight. Sounds like you know your way around the water catching some fish.
Yeah, well, I mean, for the most, not the most part, okay, my personal best have come from really downsizing, and downsizing more than I think I should, like where it kind of feels a little weird, almost.
Right.
I caught a really good spotted bass one time.
Now you're talking. You're talking about
it was. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
Go ahead. No, I was gonna say.
Yeah, you said you're talking to a guy that's what?
Yeah, no, don't feel weird about it. Small and then even large. Like I love a flutter spoon, like a 10-inch flutter spoon this time of year. Talking about something really weird, something different. Throwing this wounded big piece of metal fluttering down and going offshore. So you have these retreating. Oversized from that choice. So don't hear it from different.
All right, looks like did we lose him?
I was getting a lot of static.
Yeah.
A lot of in and out.
All right, well,
but
listen, great call. I appreciate you calling in. Some good insight. And you never told me what's your PB.
So, well, now technically I've never weighed it, but I've called in before. It's got fat around the eyes. I called in one time when Alex Rudd was on the show.
Who?
And it had like that white line, like fat around the eyes. and and then I caught one time. It was after the spawn. If it had been spawning, there ain't no telling what it would have been. But it was on this pond that everybody was like, "Oh, you'll catch 12-inch fish, but you'll catch them all day long." And the first fish I catch is something that eats 12-inch fish, But you can see all my personal bests on my Instagram. It's DAOG Rochester. That's this guy. I think that's being fair.
Nice. Well, it's a nice catch, and I appreciate you calling in, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Hey, I hope you get to feeling better, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, man.
All right, Fixie. Do we are we good on the line?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And get my cell phone is blown up. So Fix, can you go I want to just put something up on the screen really quick. Yeah, could you put the disclaimer up on the screen, because I'm getting lots of questions. Okay, so last week we briefly touched upon the possibility of raising some money, and so I need to read this. No money or other consideration is being solicited, and if sent in response will not be accepted. No offer to buy securities can be accepted, and no part of the purchase price can be received until the offering statement filed, and only through an intermediary's platform. Any indication of interest involves no obligation or commitment of any kind. Reserving securities is simply an indication of interest. Okay, I need to read that to you every single time we talk about potentially investing in Monster Bass, because that's what the law says. Last week we touched upon the opportunity for you to potentially invest in the company, the parent company, Outdoor Playground, and own a piece of the pie. And my phone's blowing up with questions. So if you're interested in learning more, just go to monsterbass.com. If you're on your desktop, there's an invest button right on it, or you can go to monsterbass.com/invest. Enter your name and information. It'll put you on a list, and we're going to send you some information probably next week telling you a little bit more about it, and then we'll do an entire show all about it. We are playing with the idea of selling part of our company, and rather than selling it to bankers, we'd like to keep this company owned by anglers. And so we are exploring that possibility and the opportunity to give you all the chance to do so. And I'm just trying to answer all the questions that have come in. And if we do this, you'll be able to buy in for as little as, let's say, $250. So you don't have to be, you don't have to have $1 million sitting around. What other questions? Next week. Yeah, so to answer all your questions, just go to monsterbass.com/invest, put your name and email address in. It'll put you on a list, and we'll send you more information. I don't have a timeline for it because we're waiting on one legal document to be completed. Once that legal document is completed, then and only then can I move to the next phase. And that's not my rule. That's the SEC, because I'm making room on my cap table for someone to potentially own a piece of the company, and so we've got to follow these rules. So there you go. Okay. Let's see where we're at. Is Chris still catching fish, or did we lose him?
He's here, but he's a little slow. Yeah, he's here.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's 5:15. I want to let him finish fishing because he's probably late for dinner, and
No.
who knows? But I can tell you this.
Oh, I'll tell you tonight my wife's got the young women group that she's involved in. They're going to the local pool. My son's the lifeguard. It's actually, if you look over my shoulder, it's right behind me. I'm going to fish my way over there. So no rush. I'm just out here fishing, having fun being on the show.
Nice. Well, I'd love to say I have no rush, but
Not
only do I am I out of adult electrolytes, I have to rush on to something else. But
fair enough.
Good times. Do we? Is Bethany still here? Is she in the chat? She is. Bethany, do you want to pick somebody in the chat that wins a prize? It could be the funniest comment. It could be you're the boss of all this, so you can pick anyone you want, and Raphie will clean out my garage and give him something. Let's see what she says. Oh, the suspense. She does. I see it. How much do I have to buy to be the co-host? You want to be the co-host one time? We can let you be a co-host.
Bring him on. Bring him. Yeah. Bring him in.
You can be the guest. How do you win the chat thing, Chris? You just make some good comments, and someone picks. I can pin it. Let's see. Heather's got a happy birthday. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, is the chat, because I can't see it at all, does the chat seem like it's a little more controlled with Bethany, and maybe the common denominator is Raphie that incites the chat? Like, what do we got here with the chat view tonight? Were people nicer? What do you think on the chat?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm not paying attention to the chat throughout the show because it'd be just too much work. So I can't say. I cannot say. I can tell you this: we only had like 50 thumbs up, so that's pretty bad. I'm gonna need therapy.
You can schedule a therapist. I mean, I know we had pretty good viewership watching. I mean, it's fun I'm out here fishing, so I mean, I'm having a good time. We got to get some more likes, and I think that's that thing is our Monster Bass community. I just want to tell them thanks for joining us each week. I have a blast being connected to people. I get private messages asking me some questions, people showing their best fish. They're going to go fishing somewhere. They'll ask me what I think of bait. So what a cool community that I've been able to plug into because of Monster Bass. So thanks for joining us. The person that mentioned a while ago, we got a lot of bait boxes and bags going out every month. Tell your friends if you can. Tell them to join us. Have them razz us. As you heard tonight, Raphie likes some negative comments. So make some super negative comments in the chat next week when he's back. And join us. I think there's always room for more. So I think that's the message I'd like to leave with.
Absolutely, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. If we can have a little bit of fun and you can walk away learning one thing, then I think we've done our job. So, Chris, thank you for being a part of the show. It's good to have you back from Windy Wednesday, and we'll see you soon.
All right, take care. Thanks.
Yeah, have a great Memorial weekend.
You too.
All right, thanks. All right, guys, listen. Speaking of Memorial weekend, not only am I having a barbecue at the house, I didn't call the taco guy. Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to have to find out if the taco guy's available because I'd like to enjoy my friends instead of just barbecuing all the entire time. And that's usually what ends up happening. So if I can get the taco guy to come and have him just cater while I sit in the pool and hang out with everybody, that would be great. But I do want to let you know about a little bit of a Memorial Day sale that's coming your way. We are going to, if I can get this done in time, we're going to give you a 50% rebate. Meaning if you spend $100, we're going to give you a 50% rebate in the form of a gift card back towards a future purchase. You spend $150, you get $75 back, and so on. And that's something I'm going to work on. I didn't get a chance to work on it today because I was curled up in the fetal position on the couch. And that's where I'm going to head to right now. So I want to say thank you to Chris and Raphie and Fix and Bethany for jumping in on the chat today. We gave her some short notice. And to everyone that took the time out of their day, do me a favor. On your way out the door, if you wouldn't mind hitting the thumbs up. And if you happen to see our podcast, wherever you consume podcasts, go hit the subscribe button because the more likes I get, the better it makes me feel. And pretty soon I won't have a need for my therapist. What am I saying? We're all going to need therapists one day. It's a crazy world we live in. All right, guys. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Bye.